First and foremost, thank you for joining us today. We're super excited to show you NPAC's Fund Investment Tool. My name is Amy Strom, the Director of Client Success, and today you'll be hearing from the real rock star of the show, Carrie Carlson, one of our awesome financial consulting managers. He'll be showcasing our Fund Investment Tool. Before we get started, a couple of housekeeping items. We would love for you to introduce yourself in our chat screen, as well as let us know where you're joining us from. And also, we do have staff members on with us, so if you have any questions or need clarifications, please use the Q&A function, and we'll make some time to go over those questions. Before we dive in, and for those that are new to NPAC, I want to share a little bit about us as an organization. It is our mission to empower nonprofits to grow, increase their giving, and create impact in their communities through the power of technology. How do we do that? We do that through several different pieces of technology that we have. Today, specifically, we are going to focus on how we fulfill our mission in partnership with the nonprofit community when it comes to our fund investment tool. Our fund investment tool really accelerates organizations to automate those complex fund accounting calculations. So when it comes to looking at your organization and how you're currently managing your endowment fees, spending policies, income allocations, and rebalancing, we're really focused on how do we help you save hundreds of hours of manual calculations and execute on those calculations more efficiently so that you can focus on the programmatic and philanthropic work that your organization is doing in your community and really leverage our technology to complete those calculations efficiently. With that, I'm going to turn this over to Carrie, who will take us through some high-level information around what's happening today with these calculations, and then showcase how we can help you automate that within our fund investment tool. So, Carrie, take it away.
Great. Thank you. As Amy mentioned, my name is Carrie Carlson. I am based in Las Vegas, Nevada. I started in accounting with KPMG before I became an assistant controller of a wholesale food distributor, which is kind of how I got into the software world. Was we implemented a system. I've been with NPAC for a little over a year now, and prior to that, I spent 20 years with Blackbaud, working with nonprofits, implementing the financial edge, and dealing a lot with what we're going to talk about today, which is really the investment accounting for nonprofits, and what a process it is, and how it can slow down a quarter close, because it's often really a manual process that could be error prone. Sometimes we use third-party systems to help us manage, which is a fancy way to say probably Excel. Because of our outdated systems, our allocation methods in our systems aren't allowing us to do the proper calculations. And because we're lacking some of the advanced calculation methods that we require, especially around like unitizations or 12-quarter rolling averages, and then really the disconnect between the finance system and the tool that's helping us with this calculation. So not a good audit trail in place. Typically, when we see the current state, it looks a little bit like this. There's an investment platform that's coming out. We're getting a report from our investors, giving us the information. We're keying that into Excel, potentially having another Excel workbook read into that to help us with the calculations, and maybe even another one that's helping us to create a journal entry import if we're able to upload something into our ledger, or we're manually keying it in. So at NPAC, we've developed the fund investment tool, affectionately known as FIT. Really, it's an advanced allocation management tool that really keys in on 4 different types of allocations: income and expenses, allowing for those gains and loss calculations to be done; administration fees, if potentially you're charging fees to the various funds that you're managing; spend policies, which is really unique, which is to manage the release from restriction; and then some investment rebalancing we'll talk about a little bit later as well, just to get you back in line with your original investment strategy. I think the key thing here is we're able to handle much more advanced calculations, as well as provide direct integration with your accounting systems. So thinking back to the other slide, sort of simplifies the process here. We still get that report from our investment managers. We enter that information directly into FIT, where the calculations are performed, and they go automatically into your legacy or your journal entry or your fund accounting system. We can even create, with some of that rebalancing effort, some reports that we can provide information back to our investment managers as buys and sells, and full audit trail capabilities. So how does it fit in your technology stack? Just like any other subsidiary ledger, like an accounts payable, perhaps a payroll solution that you may have, the fund investment tool through an API integration talks back and forth to the financial edge, Oracle NetSuite, and Sage. So let's take a look at it actually in action. Let me share my screen. All right. So here we have the actual, let me just clear up some of this for you guys. Here's the fund investment tool, which should look very similar to your financial application. At the top, you'll see the 4 different allocation methods that I had referred to. Let me just jump over to the configuration side to give you a little bit of a behind the scenes look, where we're able to develop the number of pools that you have, whether they're income pools, fee pools, spending policies, derive some of the account journal entry information, and using a custom attribute within the financials ledger on the fund record, we're able to identify which one of the pools the fund will be participating in. So as a fund comes and goes or potentially moves pools, no additional configuration is required in the fund investment tool. You're able to make those entries and keep up in the system just by reading the calls. On the income allocation side, you're able to develop an unlimited number of income types, the debits and credits account associated to those. And when we come over to the actual allocation itself, excuse me, we'll see different information. You'll see those income types that we have here. I'm able to enter the effective period of this particular batch, the general ledger post period, and the pool that's associated to it. So if you have multiple investment pools, we can track them individually, or we can keep them all the same, really up to you, depending upon the GL coding. All that you would need to do when you get that report from your investment managers, drop in the various income and allocation fees that go in here, click the calculate button, and you'll be able to take a look at the audit sheet. Now, what the audit sheet is going to do, it's going to give you a list of all the funds that are participating in the pool. It's going to have the beginning market value. In this case, we're utilizing unitization. So it's going to have the unit methods that's in there to drive the allocation percentage. If you were using average daily balance or ending balance, it would just look a little different here. Here are the various income types that we had listed before based on that percentage, the amounts that are associated to those. If you're happy with that, you can click onto the journal entries tab. If perhaps that you messed up and put 65,000 in here instead of 6,500, just simply come back here, rekey it in, calculate it there as well. If you're happy with it, we're going to take a look at the journal entries that'll be associated to it. Again, based on that configuration, I've defined the various journal entries that are required based on the income types, and we'll see the debits and credits associated with those here. And if we like that, all you need to do is send the journal entries to the finance system. This is going to go over to your general ledger as an unposted journal entry, very similar to if you have an integration with the Razor's Edge or perhaps an account, a payroll system, it would come over the very same way. Talking about administration fees, if your organization is charging admin fees that we want to apply to the various funds associated to the organization, we can set them up in fee families. If that's something you're doing, you can have an unlimited number of fee schedules here as well. To include tiered fees. If you have different tiers and percentages that are associated to those, we can list those here. You'll see based on the attributes that I've assigned in my general ledger system, the funds that are participating in this particular fee. And one thing I'd just like to highlight here is we can have various calculation methods required. A lot of people use 12, 16, 20 quarter average ending balances, but we can certainly develop any custom ones that you may have specific to your organization. Taking a look at the actual transactions as they would appear in your system, again, you'll see the same look and feel as I had on the income allocation tabs. The process tab there will list the effective period, the general ledger post date. If you have your fees in different groups, you can certainly identify those here. Most people use a single group for all their fees. Totally configurable, totally up to you. When I click on the audit sheet, we'll have all those various funds that are listed or associated to different administrative fee types. You see the different fee schedules that are associated to them here, the ending balance of the fund. As we saw over there in the configuration, I'm using an average daily balance here. So this is the fee basis that's utilized for the calculation. The fee rates are listed here based on the methods that we have assigned to them and the fee amount here. Again, if everything looks okay to you, come over to the Journal Entries tab. It'll give you an opportunity to review the debits and credits associated to each one of those funds. If everything looks good, same process. We just send that journal entry over to the finance system, and it's there as an unposted journal entry ready for posting. Talking a little bit about spend policy or the release from restriction of funds. This is really unique to the fund investment tool. We can get really specific here. As you look, again, it has a very similar look and feel in terms of the process, the audit and the journal entry tabs. The pool that we're doing, again, if you have different pools that you want to associate to the spending policy, we can do that. Most people put them in a single pool, totally up to you. We feel good, we just calculate those. We come over to the audit sheet. We see all the various funds that are associated here. I see some spend policies here. It looks like we got some 16 quarter here. You see a 20 quarter one that's in there. We see the ending balance, the fee basis. Again, in this particular case, in the sample data, I'm using the average daily balance. The release rate is defined here, and the calculated amount we'll see here, as well as the post date. This is just a 4-quarter rolling average, just visual to see if you want to see if anything's out of whack. I can kind of see here there's a $15 million entry here to this particular fund. May want to take a look at that. If everything looks good, the journal entries, debits and credits have been assigned over in the configuration side. This is simply the journal entry that's going to flow over once I click send to this journal entry. Final calculation method that we have within here is rebalancing. And what rebalancing does is it gets you back in line with your original investment strategy. If it's easier to see if I talk about a visual here. So if I look at the Paula Owens Fund, it looks like it's been defined to be 100% participation in the balanced pool. Looks like there's a little activity in checking and stuff as well as things happen. And then I look at the Joseph Wood Fund, I see a little bit more. Here's 20% to cash, 80% to that balanced pool. But over the course of time, as gifts come in, gains and losses happen, it kind of throws me out of that 80-20 whack setting that I had, and I just need to rebalance that. So I've defined that and create the journal entries associated with that to bring me back in balance with that original investment strategy. Excuse me. To that end, as I mentioned before on that previous slide, we do have some reports that come inherent to the system. We could certainly create additional ones if you want. I have that rebalancing report that I can send to my investment broker should I need to. I also have custom reports that are for each one of these allocation methods, providing an audit trail, a historical audit trail as well. A lot of times, if you're using an allocation management tool within your application, each time you do the application, it tends to override it, and there's no real audit trail associated to it. We'll jump back over to the slides. So who should be using FIT? I mean, any organization that has a large endowment or complex investments can be utilizing the FIT application. It tends to be higher education foundations, healthcare and community foundations, religious organizations. But really, if you have a complex calculation or a large number of endowments, the FIT would be a great fit for you. In terms of the next steps, I'm going to reach out to everybody who participated in today's. I'm going to send you a recording of the demonstration. I'll send you a little bit more information as well. Maybe a little one-pager on that gives you a little bit more information on the fund investment tool. My contact information is here. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any quick questions or want to get in touch with me sooner than I reach out to you. Thanks for your time today.
Great. Thanks so much, Carrie. I do not see any open questions in our Q&A, but if anyone has any questions and would like to type them in our Q&A, we can take some time to go over them. A question came in, Carrie.
Sure.
We use the allocation module on Blackbaud. What advantage is this program?
So there's a couple of advantages there. First, ease of use. As a former financial edge implementation consultant, I could tell you the ease of use and configuration will be one major differential. In terms of the 4 calculation methods, you'll have a flavor of the income and the administration fees, but it may not. be suited to your calculation methods that you require, specifically around, say, the unitization. That's not being done within their allocation management tool. And in terms of spend policy and rebalancing, that's just something that the Financial Edge allocation manager is not utilizing.
Let's see, mentioned about going through and showing this on the, what can be done in the fund investment tool versus in financial accounting. Great. Let's see, what is the advantage of unitization versus ending balance?
It's really, if I'm being honest, it's a personal preference. Mathematically, you'll get to the same answer, but a lot of people like to track those units and display those units throughout their organization for the participation in the fund. But calculation-wise, you're going to get to the same place.
Great. Let's see. Thank you for those questions. Is there anything else? If not, please take note of Carrie's email address on the screen, and he will be reaching out. If you have further questions, you can go over that. I want to thank you all for joining us for this high-level overview. We will be sharing the presentation when Carrie follows up with you, and we're excited for our next steps and how we can support your organization with our fund investment tool. I want to thank you all for joining us today.